Dad, can we talk about the Golden Gate Bridge? I saw it when we went to San Francisco, and it was so big and red. I didn't know bridges could be that massive. How did they even build it?
Ah, the Golden Gate Bridge. It's quite an impressive structure, isn't it? It's not just big, but also one of the most iconic bridges in the world. Building it was a huge engineering feat back in the 1930s. Do you want to hear about the history and how it was constructed?
Yes, please. I'm super curious. I saw some pictures at the museum, and it looked really complicated.
It certainly was. The idea for the bridge came about because people wanted a quicker way to get from San Francisco to Marin County. Before the bridge, they had to rely on ferries, which could be slow and unreliable, especially during bad weather.
So they just decided one day, let's build a giant bridge?
Not exactly. There was a lot of debate about whether it was even possible. Many people thought it couldn't be done because of the strong currents, deep water, and frequent fog in the area. It was also the Great Depression, so there wasn't a lot of money to go around.
Oh, wow. So how did they convince people to go ahead with it?
A big part of that was due to a man named Joseph Strauss. He was the chief engineer and a huge advocate for the bridge. He convinced everyone that it could be built and that it would be safe and economically beneficial.
Was he right? I mean, it looks really safe now, but I imagine it must have been scary back then.
You're absolutely right. Safety was a huge concern. During construction, Strauss implemented many safety measures that were quite innovative for the time. For example, he had a large safety net installed under the bridge to catch any workers who might fall. This net saved the lives of about 19 men, who became known as the Halfway to Hell Club.
That's so intense. I can't imagine working on something so high up and dangerous. How long did it take them to build the bridge?
Construction started in 1933 and took about 4 years. The bridge officially opened on May 27, 1937. It was the longest and tallest suspension bridge in the world at the time.
4 years seems like a long time, but I guess for something so big, it's pretty fast. How did they make it strong enough to withstand all that wind and water?
Great question, Mia. The bridge was designed to be both flexible and strong. The main cables, which are the large ropes you see running over the top of the towers, are made of thousands of individual steel wires. Together, these wires are capable of holding up a massive amount of weight and can flex with the wind and the movement of the earth.
Wow, so it's both strong and flexible. Kind of like a really tough gymnast.
Exactly like that. And speaking of the cables, did you know that if you laid all the wires in those cables end to end, they would stretch around the Earth more than 3 times?
No way. That's so cool. Why did they decide to paint it that orange-red color? I thought most bridges were just gray or black.
Ah, the color. It's called International Orange, and it wasn't actually the original plan. The Navy wanted the bridge to be painted with black and yellow stripes to make it more visible to ships, and the Army Air Corps wanted it to be painted in red and white stripes for aircraft visibility.
Stripes? That would have been so weird.
Haha, yes, it would have been quite the eyesore. But Irving Morrow, the consulting architect, thought the orange color would not only blend well with the natural surroundings, but also be visible in the fog.
Good choice, Mr. Morrow. It looks amazing in that color, especially against the blue water and sky.
Indeed. The bridge has become a symbol of San Francisco and is recognized all over the world partly because of that unique color.
Did anything go wrong during construction? I mean, it seems like with such a big project, something must have gone wrong at some point.
Unfortunately, yes. Despite the safety measures, there were still some tragic accidents. 11 men lost their lives during the construction of the bridge. It's a sad part of its history, but it also led to even more stringent safety practices in future construction projects.
That's really sad. But I guess it's good that it made construction safer in the long run.
Absolutely. Every lesson learned helps make things better for the future.
I read somewhere that a lot of people were against the bridge when it was first proposed. Why didn't they want it?
There were several reasons. Some people thought it would ruin the natural beauty of the area, while others were worried about the cost. There was also concern about the impact it would have on local businesses, like the ferry operators.
So, did everyone come around once it was built?
Mostly, yes. The bridge turned out to be a huge success, both practically and aesthetically. It quickly became an iconic symbol of San Francisco and an important part of daily life for thousands of commuters.
I guess that's why so many people visit it now. It's like a tourist magnet.
Exactly. It's not just a bridge, it's a piece of history and a marvel of engineering. Plus, it's got some fantastic views.
When we were there, I saw a lot of people walking and biking across it. I wanted to do that too, but we didn't have enough time. Have you ever walked across it, Dad?
I have, actually. It's quite an experience. You can feel the wind, hear the waves below, and if you're lucky, you might even see some dolphins or seals in the water.
That sounds amazing. Next time we go, can we walk across it? I want to see everything.
Of course, Mia. It's a great way to experience the bridge up close. You really get a sense of its size and the incredible amount of work that went into building it.
Do you think they'll ever build another bridge like it?
They've built many impressive bridges since then, but the Golden Gate Bridge is unique. It's not just about the engineering. It's about the place and the time it was built. It represents a spirit of innovation and determination that was really important during the Great Depression.
It's like a giant, beautiful piece of history that everyone can use and enjoy.
Exactly, and it continues to inspire people even all these years later.
I'm so glad we talked about this, Dad. I feel like I learned a lot more than I did at the museum.
I'm glad to hear that, Mia. It's always fun to learn about history, especially when it's something as cool as the Golden Gate Bridge.
Thanks for explaining everything, Dad. You're the best history teacher ever.
Anytime, Mia. I love sharing these stories with you. Now, what do you want to learn about next?
I'll have to think about it. But I'm sure whatever it is, it'll be another great story.
I have no doubt about that.